Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm your host, Mary Hammond, Director of the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. My guest today is Carol Gault, and she's Executive Director of Paducah Main Street, one of our tourism partners. You know, Carol, an awful lot of people get us mixed up.
That's true, they
Plus,
do.
they just think we work for the Chamber,
Exactly.
who's another one of our partners. And they don't realize that we're very distinct organizations that still have that common good and promotion of our community and the betterment of the business community, but in a very different ways.
That's correct.
But we're so fortunate that you worked with us, and that background of the tourism background, the background of having your own shop, and which I still miss, and it's a really a good background to go into being Paducah Main Street. So,
Thank you.
but let's back up. Carol's office is right on Broadway. I don't know the exact number, but it's
321 Broadway.
321. It's the building right next to the 10-story bank building.
That's correct.
U.S. Bank just right next door. It's had a lot of different homes over the businesses in that home over the years. But tell us a little background of the Paducah Main Street program. I know it's probably been about 15 years.
It started in 1989.
Okay.
A group of concerned citizens under the direction of Jerry Montgomery were actually noticing the sprawl. People were leaving the downtown area, and downtown was becoming a ghost town.
It was epidemic.
Exactly. People, it was happening all across the U.S. I mean, during that time in the mid-'80s, people were leaving the downtown areas and moving out to the suburbs and into strip malls, and that was just the trend at the time. And the Main Street programs function under National Main Street Centers, and in the state of Kentucky, it works through the Kentucky Heritage Council and through the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And really, the Main Street programs are probably one of the largest home runs that the National Trust for Historic Preservation have ever hit. They operate on a four-point approach: design, organization, promotions, and economic restructuring. It's all a volunteer organization. We do have 3 paid staff members here in Paducah, and we have one of the largest programs in the state.
It's been successful, like so many of the programs that Jerry Montgomery brought to Paducah and helped foster, because she was great that way. There hasn't been a lot of turnover. Let's see, you would be 4th
That's
director,
correct.
right? So it's not like it's been a coming and going. It's not been a revolving door. It's been a program that got in there and really been successful from day one. Sometimes we take for granted what we have downtown until things like the recent consultant who was in before the holidays talking to us. So what we have is a fabulous downtown. You know, and I know when a lot of our friends, when they say, oh, you've got what New Orleans and Charleston, and we're sort of like, oh gosh. But we do. We have a very unique downtown, and I hate that word, unique, but it is that, yes, we are a river city. We do share the history and with other communities up and down the river, and very similar, but so many of them don't have the infrastructure that we have. They don't have the supply of buildings that are in good repair, and businesses that have been there for a long time, and new businesses joining it.
That's correct. We've been very fortunate. Early on, people had the foresight to save those buildings, save that historic fabric, and preserve the integrity. And now our downtown, as the consultant would say, really faces up well.
That's good.
And because we have people that have invested and we have all those new businesses, we're operating now at about a 10% vacancy rate.
That's good.
Which is really one of the best in the States.
Sure. It goes all the way back to the 60s when the group of women stood their ground and said, you're not tearing down this market house and making a parking lot of this. This is part of our heritage, and we need to restore that. And how fortunate we are that we have thriving nonprofits in there with the Yeiser Art Center and the William Clark Market House Museum and the Market House Theater. It's and the businesses all the way around. I mean, even when Main Street first started up, the side where Kirchhoff's is towards the river was just boarded up.
That's right. Since 1996, most of around the Market House area has developed. So it's only been in the last 10 years that you've really seen that resurgence in the area. You know, we just did a count, and from 7th Street to the river, there are 83 retail and restaurants establishments just in that area.
Probably
So it's amazing.
15 restaurants, you think?
There are 18 restaurants
18, my
from
goodness,
7th
gosh.
Street to Water
Right.
Street.
Right.
There are 23 restaurants in the Renaissance District, and that includes Lower Town and Upper Town.
Now, let's talk about that Renaissance District, and people may not know exactly what that is. When they hear it, you know, you hear it on the commission meetings that are filmed here on Channel 11. People may not realize what that is, but if you can kind of explain a little bit about that program.
Under Governor Patton's administration, the Renaissance program started, but it actually falls under the purview of the Main Street organization. So it started in the original Main Street District, which goes from 13th to Water Street, or the riverfront, Broadway, Jefferson, and Kentucky. But during his administration, the Renaissance program was founded, and that included the Lower Town area. But during that time frame, they were able to add in what we call Renaissance Edition 1A and 1B. So they added in the Upper Town area and the Lower Town area. And then under Governor Fletcher, they have kind of revamped the program, and it's now called Renaissance on Main. But each year the Main Street program has to resubmit, make sure that we're a certified program and we're functioning in all 4 components, again, that design, organization, promotions, and economic restructuring, and we're certified with different plans, making sure that we're functioning on the levels that the state requires us to be doing so.
Now, we were a Renaissance Gold community. Is that still so?
Well,
Or
they've
has that
actually,
designation kind of changed a
those
little bit?
designations have changed, and now we're a certified 1, which is equivalent to a gold city.
That's great.
But we're very fortunate that we've had a lot of people that have contributed to that, and it just kind of governs that whole area.
And our banks have been good. They've been good players. They've kept their headquarters downtown. Yes, there's been changes in some of our banks, but they could easily have gone to the suburbs as well. But they've kept their main offices downtown and been very active in Main Street.
They've been extremely active with our program, from the Downtown Enrichment Loan Program to serving on our committees and staffing our drink trailers at one of our largest fundraisers with barbecue. It's amazing what they've done.
Soft drink trailers.
Yes, that's correct. Soft drink trailers. We should make that clarification.
Yes, we should. You've had a good board, and some of those people who are on your board have been there since the very beginning, and keep that history and have continued to be active.
They do. In our bylaws, you can only serve 2 terms, and then you have to rotate off for a while. But sometimes they come back, or they'll serve on a committee. Because I think once downtown and preservation, those kind of things get in your blood, it stays in your blood, and they're very committed to the community.
But you also see people who might have been on the Main Street board who've gone on. I mean, I think Lorraine Schramke was on your board, and now here she is on the Planning and Zoning board or commission. So you just never quite know. These folks get revitalization and into their blood, and they just sort of keep going. They have a real interest in keeping our community alive. Well, let's talk. All right, design. What do they mean by the design?
Design is a component that really deals with the aesthetics of downtown, but also the buildings, the facade, the way downtown looks, because in the early 80s and mid 80s, if you remember, we had smaller sidewalks. The streets didn't look like they look now. The utility lines were above ground. All those things have been put underground, and downtown just is a pleasant place to be.
Yeah, planters,
we have planters, lots of foliage, lots of things. When you look at that parking area where the gazebo is, all of those things are kind of taken into consideration in that area, down to the brick program, how we sell bricks and lay in those sidewalks. Those things are all considered in the design component.
Still got to pay for my friend's pet. Scout Bailey's got to get his
That's
brick.
right,
I know
that's right.
So that's a great program. So the veterans, quilters, your animals, your families, it's a great
Lover's
way.
Lane, it's
Lover's
all there.
Lane, I love it. So
Yes.
you can get your names in the brick and really help the downtown. And you may think, that it's not a huge contribution. I want to say $35.
Well, they're 50, 75, and 100.
Oops.
For Main Street members, they're
Okay.
discounted, and that's
what I'm thinking.
That's what you're thinking
okay, if you're
about,
a Main
yes.
Street member. Well, which is a good way to support the community. Also, back at that time when Main Street program was just getting started, you had a lot of facades covered up with siding. And it's so nice to see that this has come down. There's very little of that now. But of course, the one that everyone remembers is the Petter building. And thank goodness that it was all preserved underneath of the siding. But there have been other in front of Jeremiah's where they took that down and saw the wonderful carvings. And there have been some real uncoverings. It's been good.
The architecture downtown is just
Yes.
beautiful, and again, that's all under the design component. We have facade loans that help you restore those facades. The Downtown Enrichment Loan Program all falls under the Secretary of Interior standards, but again, it's to help restore those buildings and get businesses back into those buildings that are viable businesses. All that functions under that design component.
So often in our community, we don't realize that we are playing right up there with the big boys, what's happening in all cities of all sizes across our country, if it be in through the program and through the Department of Interiors and the National Trust in keeping what we have, if it be in tourism and how we sell our community, all the different aspects of our community, we're working right up there. I mean, we're not just learning how to do something. We're competing right in there with the big
That's
boys.
correct.
So you got design. What's the second one?
Organization. Organization is really how the board functions. It's a fundraising arm.
Right.
You know, we do membership drives. You know, barbecue comes. That crosses over sometimes into promotions, but also our drink trailers, the soft drink trailers that I mentioned. We bid that out every year, but it really functions as a fundraising arm. And then it oversees. We're a 501c3, so it oversees the organization, if you
Right.
will. It makes sure that, you know, we're audited every year, and we have a contractual agreement with the city for certain services, and it oversees those contracts and just the general organization component.
Would you call yourself a government agency? Like we're in tourism at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we're quasi-governmental. Would
And
you sort of be that way?
I would say that we're a quasi-governmental
Because you
agency
do
as
have
well.
your 501c3s makes it that way. We are not a 501c3. We're funded by tax money. We work with the nonprofits. So there's a lot of things that people, including sometimes our own people we work with in our boards and our contemporaries, that don't understand that.
I understand exactly, because we have to do a lot of
Sure.
education, making people understand, or trying to educate people to understand how we function, but also providing a lot of educational services on how to rehab a building, tax credits, how to utilize those, educating merchants on how to better attract more customers, better run
Sure.
their businesses. Lots of different educational services we try to provide.
Which, when the consultant was in this late fall, talked to the merchants, talked to them about better ways and how things are changing and how maybe you did business always may not be the way for the future, but to tweak it. And it's wonderful that you're there to help them, because small business owners, they don't always have time to go to the meetings or the seminars or other things that may be offered in the community. But just like before this taping, where you have your meetings in the mornings early before people open their businesses.
Just
good.
this morning we had a merchant meeting and
That's
discussed
great.
some of the things that we needed to happen downtown, and we had the mayor, as a matter of fact, come. We always do one at the beginning of the year with the mayor, that we do a question and answers type session.
Sure.
And we do those regularly. We do them monthly.
Well, everybody needs to be on the same page. We all have the same goals, and it's good. We're so fortunate. Right before we came to this meeting, we've just gotten the schedule for the river boats for the Delta Queen and the Mississippi Queen. We have more stops than we've had in a long time. Of course, that has to do with what's happening down south, and I'm sorry to say, but I'm glad that we're able to be there for the Delta Queen Steamboat Company. So, and they love coming to Paducah.
And the merchants love to have them. It's an
good.
exciting time. We love to have those passengers in our
Sure.
downtown.
I'll never forget one year walking into Ground Floor Shoes, and there was Beth DeVille hemming some pants for a crew member. It was before Kay's Alterations came to town. She's in there, and they've become friends. There are relationships between the crew members. The passengers may come and go, but the crew members are our friends. That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, design, organization.
Promotions. The promotions component is probably the one that's most visible to the public.
Right.
Because the merchants really take part in that. For instance, during the holidays, when you can bring your gift, if you purchased a gift downtown, you
Sure.
could bring it to the Main Street office and have it wrapped for free. That functions out of our promotions component.
That was successful. That's
It was
good.
very successful.
That's good.
We were very excited to be able to provide that service. Just the Santa House, again, that functions out of the promotions component. Downtown After Dinner, as we
it's a
help
great program,
coordinate
yes.
that now
That's
and
good.
work with your office to do
Right.
that. Again, that functions.
And city. When it
Oh,
gets
of course, the city.
yeah,
The city's a
it's
partner that
of everything.
in
we don't
everything
realize
we do.
that there's
right.
that none of us can do our jobs, our festivals without the city helping.
From Ernie Vi and his group coming down every morning and maintaining the cleanliness of the area, to working with the planning department and Rick Murphy and city engineer and Joel Scarborough and inspection. I mean, there's not a city department and even Mark Thompson in Parks that we
right.
don't work with almost on a daily basis. They're such a large part of what we do. That's true.
The team's good.
It is. It's very good.
Yeah, we're
It's
very
good.
fortunate. So it's promotions, barbecue and barbecue and after dinner. Really, have become the anchor for that. And although we've had wonderful people who have worked with it and continue to work with it, we can't do without them. But they needed some place to have an anchor, besides a drawer in my office where we put their mail.
That's true. And David Boggs, who started
Sure.
with Main Street last year, about this time last year, has been such an asset for us downtown. And he's working as the promotion and events coordinator out of our office. And he really helps with both of those programs.
He's a worker now.
He is.
We filmed a segment with him, and it was really good. He's very easy to be with.
Yes.
That's good. I appreciate him. All right, what's the fourth part?
Economic restructuring. And economic restructuring is another component. Bruce Brockenborough actually chairs that component, and it's changing the way that it's always, again, also kind of overlapped with design, dealt with the loan program and those kinds of things in the past. But now we're looking at incentives and specific businesses to target.
To attract them.
Exactly.
So it's just like tourism is economic development in a very different way than what's happening at GPEDC, Greater Paducah Economic Development. We're our own type of economic development, part of that big picture. So as we're trying to work with hospitality industries, you're working with retail in different shops, restaurants, to make
Correct.
them. I know one of the goals is to get a small chain of some type that does good advertising, to be an anchor for us downtown.
And the other part of that is the educational process, and as you know, as we grow as a tourist destination, you know, people who come to shop, they don't always shop between 9 and 5, so we have to
Right.
grow those hours. And that may mean being open on Tuesday through Sunday and being closed on Monday, because a lot of them are single entrepreneurs, they're independent business owners, and as we, you know, grow some small chains in the downtown area, they will have more people and they'll be more open to being open
Sure.
later hours.
Sure.
I mean, those are just things that, so we want to target attracting some of those specific businesses. And ER really works on what kind of package we need to put together to attract those specific busineses.
That's
exactly what they do. And like the farmers market, being able to expand that and generate a traffic generator, those are the kind of things that ER does.
Yes, and that falls under agritourism, actually. Over at Farmers Market, we're very proud of that. We're very, very proud of that. Now, sometimes we get people come in the office and they say they want to know about those, that money that you can give them, or those buildings you can get for $1 or something like that. And it's a real misconception, and it's not just in Paducah, around the country, that the government's got buildings and money for your taking if you have a good idea. And just so everybody knows, that's not so.
That's correct.
There are
That's
low-interest
right.
loans, and there are ways that you work with people who have a business plan and work with the banks. But there's nobody out there, nothing available for $1.
Right. I think probably the misconception has come in regards to the Columbia and the Arcade Theater. There is a request for proposal on our website, and those are still out there. That RFP is on our website at www.paducah.gov. paducahmainstreet.com, but we want to see that someone has the wherewithal to redo those theaters, that they have the
Right.
financial backing to do them.
Sure.
And they probably would transfer that deed for a minimal amount.
Well, but look what it was going to take to get it. It's going to take
Exactly.
very deep pockets to get it
Exactly.
to be a good project. But that is something I know you've actively been working on for a long time. And there are fish biting on that hook.
Exactly, sure.
There is interest because there aren't that many old theaters like that in our country.
You're exactly
so
right.
I'm sure, and I hear it from the people on the boats. Oh, that is got to do something with that. It's and it'll happen.
It will.
Things are
It
coming
will.
together. We've got some good leadership, good people, like I said, on our team, and yeah, it'll happen. I look forward to it. Was there really something on the roof of the theater?
Yes, it was one of the first original theaters that had a rooftop theater. It was owned by Columbia Pictures, and in 1905 we have photos of that, of them, people sitting
Sure.
on that open air theater. I mean, they didn't have air conditioning, so
Right.
there was a great breeze that came from the river, and they sat outside and enjoyed a film.
That sounds interesting.
It was. I mean, from the photos, it looks like it was a very quaint spot to be.
Now, Market House Theater did something with some films down on the Wilson stage at one time. Seems like a couple of summers ago. Maybe silent films? They did something like that.
I think maybe so.
Well, Michael and April always have lots of good ideas.
They do.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate. We have a lot of talent in the area.
We're already seeing some people adapting to the things that the public is looking for, such as, the liquor on Sundays. And so that has been passed downtown. And I saw recently that Jeremiah's is going to be open on Sundays, but they're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays.
That's correct.
Unless there's a private party, and that happens, especially with the Performing Arts Center and people wanting to have a group together before they go there or to the Market House Theater. So, but I think you'll see more adaptions as you were talking.
We have noticed that since that ordinance has passed, 6 businesses have filed downtown for Sunday alcohol sales. And I think by spring, when the tourist season starts, you'll see their hours begin to change because that's when the traffic's there. And I do think the traffic will begin to dictate the hours, and you will see them adapt to what the public wants.
I've noticed with the nice weather we've been having, unseasonable weather, that there are more people on the streets. In fact, as I was crossing the street yesterday, I had to wait, and I thought, my goodness, there's a lot of traffic. I thought, oh my, that's wonderful. So there is the weather does bring nice, more people come downtown. Now, we'll see changes in our downtown as the riverfront development comes along.
Yes.
And the murals, of course, that program's fabulous, but we're probably not in the know to talk about the riverfront development, except to say it's going to be great. There will be something for the many bass tournaments and catfish tournaments for the people to dock, pull up to, but then there will also be something for the big boats that come in.
That's correct.
And maybe a restaurant, are we talking?
I've
Yeah,
heard
there's-
that,
right.
and I know that that committee is going to look
Sure.
at other communities in the near future. And I know that with the Renaissance Grant, the memorandum of agreement has already gone through the legislative process, so that we'll start to see some action actually take place soon
Right.
on the riverfront. We'll start to see some activity. So I think that it'll
It's
be a
great.
long-term
Sure.
project, but we'll see it start to happen in stages.
As we're beginning to come to a close here, but I wanted to say it is still evolving, and what was once, still the heartbeat of a community is so important, and the Market House has been our heartbeat because it's right smack there in the historic area, the one block from the riverfront. But we're also our area is growing. We had the executive inn come in, and it's an anchor, and I was going to say a bookend, but hopefully it won't stop there. But as you've got the Expo Center and the Convention Center and the Four Rivers, and then the building that's going on with Ingram and the river industry, and so it just becomes our downtown corridor is no longer just Broadway, but the crossroads is the roads are much longer and wider than they've ever been.
The boundaries certainly are growing.
boundaries. That would be that word. But yeah, it's so good, and I just look for it to do nothing but to continue to evolve and to get better and better.
I think you're exactly right. We're very fortunate.
Well, anything you need to share with us? Any big news?
No big news. No big news. It's just
Okay.
a slow, steady pace.
Well, you know what? I've always said that that's the best, because we just continue. I'll take slow, steady paces any day than those up and down jags. And we've been very fortunate. And the support in the community from our civic leaders, our elected officials, has been fabulous. And I look forward to our relationship, business and personal, to continue to grow and to work together. As you work in the region to bring the people in, we work to bring the people from our cities that we've targeted, that we know that's a drive-to market that will come here, spend the night, eat in our restaurants, buy tickets to all of the events here at the college, at the Focus Series, the Backstage Series, all over to the all the way up to Grand Rivers to the new variety show. So we've got more than ever to keep the people here. Got good shopping.
You're right.
Got some good sales downtown.
Yeah.
All right.
Come see us.
And is there something you need to tell me about that? I know they're still there advertising it, and we look for more changes there at 2nd and Broadway as Beverly McKinley's building.
Right.
And I love 315. The market.
It's
315.
great. It's a great addition. And in Bloom, I mean, we have so many. We have 11 new businesses that came during 2005, and it's really worth coming to see if you haven't made a trip downtown. Just call us. We'll send you to the new businesses. We have new maps that are coming out with Lower Town and downtown. So, I mean, we have a lot to offer. Just call us 444-8649.
8649. 444-8649 and www.paducahmainstreet.com.
That's right.
All right. Well, we look forward to what's to the future.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol, for being here.
Thank you.
Bye. We'll see you next time on Tourism Talk. Thank you for joining us.